Zimbabwe.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it.
Can't do it. Won't do it. What's up? Happy Wednesday, everybody. Kings basketball. Seems like we're kind of half in, half out. This game feels like it might be the one. If the Kings lose, they could lose this fan base for the rest of the year. They're just throwing in the towel. But good news, Washington, worst team in the league. They are trying to, I think they've tried to tank all year. When you bring Valanciunas off the bench. And I must apologize for my tardiness. I do have a good excuse.
Holy moly, Zimbabwe.
Anytime you get a phone call from Jerry Reynolds, the show waits. So Jerry called me a few minutes before the show began. We were talking about a couple things going on. So we've got a full show for you. Here's the question I'm going to ask you today, because if you're looking for an analytical, if you are looking for a technical breakdown of how the Kings beat the Washington Wizards, you're in the wrong place. The Kings shouldn't just beat the Washington Wizards. They should crush the Washington Wizards. This should be a glorified scrimmage. The first time they played, it was basically a public workout for the Kings, for Valanciunas. So what I'm saying is just go out there and play basketball. You do that, you should probably win the game. There's nothing more to it. Nothing more to it. So we're not going to get into that, but I am going to ask you this, because there's been a lot of talk about this offseason. There has been a ton of talk about, should the Kings try to keep their pick? Is the play-in better? If they made the playoffs, is it false hope? Here's what we know. Something's got to change. Only one of the last 3 years have worked here in Sacramento. So with the current roster as it is, if you can only keep 3 players, you can only keep 3 players. Who are they? And here is the catch. Zach LaVine, he's already taken. Zach LaVine has to be here. So he is on the roster. But out of the roster you have right now, what 3 players would you carry over to next year? A lot of names to choose from. Let me know. We get you ready tonight for the game here in just a couple of hours. Grant, Jerry will be with us for halftime and post game. A lot more show for you. Actually, anybody see what happened in Atlanta? Oh my gosh. Poor fan. We'll talk about it. We've got a lot going on. Let's kick it off. Thanks for letting me into your offices. Thanks for letting me into your ears, your car, wherever it may be. Greatly appreciate it. Kings Court on a Wednesday. Let's go. Court is in session.
Lights on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn away now. Kings in our blood, we rise.
Oh boy, on a Wednesday. What's up? Welcome back in.
Elizabeth! I'm going down, Elizabeth! Oh, Lord! You big dummy!
How did I not know? How did I not know that was from a famous sitcom? I was trying to parse through that at the beginning of the week, and I'm like, Elizabeth, who the heck is he talking about? But y'all filled me in on it. Happy you're here. Before I get to the headlines and set the table for us, I want to get to you first. I'm gonna switch format and get to all of you first. I will go first comment to latest comment, as long as they are applicable and okay to put up, although they are up. Yes. Look, it's public knowledge at this point. It's been reported. I have nothing to add to it. It's not the appropriate forum for me to address it, nor would I like to speak or should speak on Grant's behalf. But yes, very sick to my stomach over it. So that's what I will say. But other than that, I'm not going to make any further comments on it. That is, I'm leaving that to Grant. That is Grant's situation, not mine. But as his partner, as somebody who he has invested a ton of time into, and as somebody that now has a platform because he gave me an opportunity, and getting to know him. And he reminds me all the time that you were ready for that opportunity. You got to remember that. You have to be ready when your opportunity presents itself. And I was ready for it. But getting to know Grant, spending as much time as I do with Grant on the air, off the air, Grant the person, I am crushed for Grant. If I'm not trying to draw a line in the sand here, but this is the time that we need to rally around Grant. That's what we're doing behind the scenes. And all of you that are fans of Grant, that are on Grant's side of that argument, support him. That is the best thing that we can do. So, other than that, I'm not going to say much more about it, but yes, it has been reported. It's on Hoops Hype. So, it is what it is. Can't ignore it, nor would I ignore it. But yes, we will allow Grant to, when he is ready to talk about that, he will talk about it. But again, support him. Think about how he has supported all of us throughout the years. Think about the days he did the Jim Rome show as a fill-in host, got back to KHTK to do his show, and then to the arena. Well, probably at the arena for the show, and then calling a game. Guys poured his heart into this city and continues to do it. Not because he's a Kings fan, but because he's a fan of all of you. He's invested in you. So if you're invested in him, send him some support. Bet that'd be pretty cool. Pretty damn cool. And we know what you Kings fans can do. You saved a team that was on the brink of being sold. So, Flores, what's up, my man? How you doing today on
Acknowledge me.
Wednesday? Progressive. Let's go Kings. Rhino, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Cristobal. Don't stop believing. That's right. Doesn't mean process is over. There are still options on the table. Plus or minus 10 minutes for Crowder tonight. It's funny that you said that, because I was going to open up, or when I started talking about the game, saying this is a game that every King should play in. Every single King should probably have at least 5 minutes in this game. I don't think 10 minutes for Crowder, but I do think this is, with the road trip that's left in front of them. I know they've got one more terrible team to play in Charlotte, but this to me is where they find some momentum, if they're going to get some down the stretch. So that's why, to me, it's not just a must win. You must win by a lot. You got to. Progressive Sacramento Kings will be the what? Progressive. I get the optimism. I respect the optimism. I get it. I get where you're coming from.
You play to win the game.
You fan to win the championship. That's why you fan so hard, to see your team win the championship. So you know what? I ain't gonna knock you. I like seeing it. Look, if I'm wearing like karma bracelets and crystals, I ain't gonna get down on you for that. Reminder, oh, that's right, Peter. Peter, thank you very much. If you were not in here yesterday for the King's Court, Dennis, as of right now, is still scheduled to be going to Stockton tomorrow with me for the semifinal G League playoff game in the Western Conference, but he could very easily lose it. He almost lost it yesterday. So we expect Dennis to be on his best behavior. We'll see if he can keep that ticket under locks. The boys are back in town. PK, what's up? Sabonis, Keon, and Zach. Remember, Nick, you already have Zach. Zach is a given. So take Zach out of play. What 3 Kings are you keeping? Dennis says Keegan, Keon, and Sabonis. Okay, well, Cristobal says that. Here's my counter, Cristobal. Does that keep you in basketball purgatory? Got to think about that. Keegan, Keon, and Carter. Okay, cool. We'll get to some more of those here in a little bit. No one should stay, but nobody should stay. Okay, fair enough. Why does this song say from Cow Palace days? I don't know. Cow Palace isn't. Are you mishearing it? Does it say Cow Palace? Good ear by you, if that's what it says. Big Knicks fan, my East Coast brother. What's up? Hey, Rhino, hope you're having a good day. On my way to work. Great job filling in on the show with the Orlando Magic. Thank you. Appreciate it. That was not necessarily a fun one to do, but really appreciate the feedback. Yeah, again, I'm not going to get into... I'm not going to do a show about it, but like I said, support would be good. You know how you support, Grant? You show up for these shows, right? You keep coming here. You subscribe. You continue picking this show up. You continue contributing to this show. Because I can tell you, these shows are as good as your participation. You all make this show better. Look at the post-game show. When we get calls, when we get participation, that's when things get stirred up. And that is all because of you. So we're going to get to some more of, yes, you can. Yeah, Dennis, you absolutely can lose that golden ticket. I told you yesterday. Here's what I told you. I said, no dad jokes, no dabbing up Kings, no running on the court if there's a bad call. Do not buy or wear the same warm-ups that the Stockton Kings wear, so you look like you are sitting on their bench and you are a player. And any other rules that you think we need to enforce for Dennis? Do not have a reversal of fortune, Dennis, like that Kings fan 5 or 6 years ago. Do not overindulge, Dennis, if that is your thing. Grant Napier, legend. Yes, indeed. All right, let's get to the top stories. What is topical? What are we talking about today? As I said, this is one that is a must win, and it's got to be one easily. Starters, low minutes. I want to see efficiency from the Kings. It's a Kings versus the Kings game. I expect to see a very good version of the Kings. If you don't see a very good version of the Kings tonight, then something is broken. And we already know that stuff is not exactly kosher when it comes to the top of the organization all the way down. But the bottom line is there's a few games left on this schedule, specifically tonight and then against Charlotte, that are penciled in wins. They have to be wins. So I don't. And here's the other thing. Here's the other key to tonight. Don't get hurt. Don't get anybody else hurt. Now, I know I'm only speaking to half the fan base because half of the fan base wants. I know nobody wants people to get hurt, but half of the fan base want this team to miss the play-in altogether. So really interesting stuff. Kings, Wizards. It's a weird 4:00 start time, 7:00 out there on the East Coast. This is also a game where you're going to have to generate your own energy. Okay, dude, are you trying? I'm wearing a whole uniform? Really? Does that mean you have a Stockton Kings jersey with your last name on it that says Youngblood? Dennis? If you do, you're allowed to wear that. I would like to see that. I would like to see that. Anyways, speaking for Washington, Jason Anderson reporting who is out. Everyone basically is out for this one. What are we gonna do? Where's the phone, Rhino? It's in the link's in the chat, isn't it? Here you go, PK. You can call. Love for everybody to call. All you got to do, hit the link. Give us a thumbs up and a like, by the way. It goes a long way with the algorithm. Please give us a thumbs up and a like. It really helps the show out with the way that YouTube spots us and puts us up as suggested. Y'all have done such a great job of that on Twitter that anytime on a Kings game day that the Kings are playing, we appear. This show appears in the hashtag Kings and whoever they're playing thread. So thank you very much for that. But yeah, everybody out tonight. Here's the other thing. The play-in schedule has been announced. There it is. Kicks off Tuesday, April 15th, Wednesday, and Friday. Those are the day. Oh, you know what? You know what? I probably didn't give you. Look, I didn't even change my name because I was talking to Jerry right before the show started.
Holy moly, Zimbabwe.
There you go. That link will work. Let me change my name, but mark it on your calendar. Those are the days that the Kings will be playing if they win a game like tonight and back their way into the play-in. It will be 2 games that they have to win. Cristobal, don't be scared to call, dude. Do not be scared to call. Don't. It ain't that hard. It ain't that scary. And anybody that trolls callers that's not in a fun way, they get either bullied out of here by the people that are around here all the time, or we kick them out of here. So if it's creative, if it's fun, like Baki's microwave, that's always a fun one. I'll let Baki's internet connection go. It's fair game. Stuff like that, but mean-spirited stuff, no, you're gone. So you're protected. You're so right, Progressive. Here's the wins for the teams right now that are projected to be in the play-in in the Eastern Conference. 37-40 are the records for Orlando. Atlanta, 36-39. Miami, 34-41. Chicago, 34-42. Western Conference, Minnesota, 44-32. Clippers, 43-32. How about that? 37-39 for Dallas, and then the Kings, 36-39. Still a half game behind Dallas. We will keep going through the headlines of the day, but first, it is our habitual line stepper. This guy, he has no line.
No, he would step across the line.
He doesn't know what a
Habitually,
line
he's a
is.
habitual line stepper.
PK, what's up, dude?
Don't be a dick.
See, right there. Habitual
Hey,
line
hey,
stepper.
how's your Wednesday going?
It's going all right. How about
Hey,
you?
hi everyone. Yeah, hey, actually, what you said, and someone that's talking about like calling in. Hey, any Kings fan, call in to the show. There's no such thing as a good call or a bad call. You know, we appreciate every Kings fan calling. It's not as scary as someone might think. It's, you know, we're all family here, so it's all good. But I was thinking about something, Ryan, today. Like I was now that we suck, we've sucked so bad last 10 games. there's like time to like kind of reflect and reminisce on this season, and I think every fan kind of is reflecting on the trade deadline. Here's the thing, dude. I just lost my freaking thought. Hold on, I just missed it.
You're good.
Oh, I'm trying to remember like what I was gonna say. Um,
Ever since the trade deadline.
yeah. Hold on. Uh, dude, I that's completely like my brain. I just had a brain fart.
It's all right.
I
Let's see
just had
how
a brain fart. But
let's see how long it takes you to get it back. Come on.
I remember. I remember now.
All right, there we
Okay,
go.
so here we go. So we're back on track. So reminiscing on Fox trade deal. It's not the fact that we traded Fox that kind of bothers me. What bothers me a little bit is how it was done. So like for instance, Fox requested a trade, and he went to a team he wanted to be traded to.
100%.
That
Yeah.
didn't even give us any picks. So like
Well, that's not fair. That's not fair. They did. Well, you got picks. You didn't get the picks you wanted.
okay, you didn't get the but besides that, but the guy requests a trade. He says he doesn't request a trade in quotes, and he goes to the team. He like what team trades their top player to a team he wants to go to? So like if they let him go to San Antonio with Wimby, who's to say that someone else on our team, like Sabonis, doesn't say, you know what? Hey, Fox did it. Why not I request a freaking trade? If this front office is a disaster, what like there's already like proof that there's a guy that requested a trade and they let him move. Who's to say like that Monk doesn't say, hey, you know what? I don't want to be in Sacramento anymore. I'm gonna I want to request a trade too. Like, does that make sense? What I'm kind of like saying.
Yeah, it's the
Like
epitome.
it sets a bad precedent as far as like like trading.
Well, it's the whole premise of the player power movement, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Like
We
the players have more power than anyone else.
the agents. It's this tug and pull between. There's this incredible tug and pull behind the scenes that goes so much deeper than just trades and transactions and free agents. I mean, I'm breaking it down to the fundamental level of like
Yeah,
guys
just
having
the
their.
basics. We don't have to go too deep.
But no, I think it's important to say it really quick. It,
Yep.
it it gets down to guys like wanting their own training staff and deciding to follow that program over the team's program, bringing in your own team and asking the team to hire your team. It's like, where is that line? And I'll tell you where that line is. It's different in every organization. What did Pat Riley do? He's like, nah, Jimmy Butler, I'm not sending you to your preferred destination.
Exactly.
I'm going to get the
I was
best deal
thinking
that
that.
I can get for us.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I I think
Yeah.
the
And
Kings put De'Aaron Fox's best interests before their fans and their franchises.
yeah, and I think it's just like just how the world operates now in NBA, because it's like Rich Paul created like a mini union, a mini players union. That's why everyone's using one agent. If there was like 20 agents and everyone had their unique agent, it would be a free market. But right now, it's not a free market because Rich Paul represents pretty much every freaking top star, and he kind of dictates. They kind of like hold teams hostage when it comes to like the star power that they hold. But
Well,
anyway,
think about this for a second. This is documented. This came straight from Rich Paul's mouth. He is the one that suggested San Antonio to De'Aaron.
that's wild.
He is the one that said, De'Aaron, I think San Antonio is the place you should be.
That's wild.
And look at how De'Aaron put all his eggs in the San Antonio basket based off of Rich Paul's recommendation. And
Yeah.
Rich Paul got him moved there.
I mean, yeah, right. It's like, I guess a superstar doesn't really have time to deal with logistics and trying to figure out how to get somewhere. It's like that's why they get Rich Paul, and Rich Paul kind of like is their mom basically that tells them exactly what to do. So, but anyway, it's just a thought that I had, and hi to everyone in the chat, and
Yeah. Good
and
good
anyway, have a
call.
good day.
Way to kick
All
us
right.
off. Good job, dude. Well done. All right, we move on to you know what, Dennis, you're gonna wait for a second because Cristobal is stepping up to the plate. I acknowledge the hell.
Acknowledge me.
Oh no, he dropped off. Cristobal, come back. I guess Dennis, you are coming on. What's up, Dennis? Dennis dropped too. All right. Try calling back. We'll get you in here. PK brings up a good point. The difference. So every player's different, number one. I think the Kings saw the writing on the wall when De'Aaron switched to Clutch Sports and Rich Paul. That is when like when your girlfriend starts giving you the signs, like, yeah, maybe I'm not really feeling it anymore, but you guys are still together. That was that when De'Aaron got with Clutch. That's when you're like, okay, I might be treading on thin ice. Sabonis, you can't compare them, but what you can compare is the way that they've handled situations. De'Aaron, in my opinion, played his words very strategically here in Sacramento and very literally. De'Aaron had a very passive aggressive campaign to get out of Sacramento. If you look at it just straight on and you don't dig through it, then it looks clean. Yeah, I never asked for a trade. I never did this. I never did that. Didn't have a problem with the coach. But then when you start going a level deeper, a level under that, you peel the onion away and you realize that it manifested in his play. It manifested in his body language. It manifested in other places. So although verbally you're saying these things, your actions, which ultimately matter the most, are telling us another thing. Sabonis, he was not, or there was friction with Mike Brown. It's been said. I'm not breaking any news here. There was friction between those two. Did it ever show in Sabonis's play? Not once. Has it shown? Not once. So it isn't, though, a good precedent. I will give you that, but I'm not going to slam the Kings for sending. I will slam the Kings for sending that piece at that important of a time if it ends up being just a disastrous trade because there was no rush to move him. It's not like what you were getting in return this year was going to change your outcome this season. But I will slam them for acquiescing to what De'Aaron wanted exactly. Because PK is right. What if another player wants that same thing? Are they going to get that same respect? Now, you can also say, well, De'Aaron, and this is where the line gets really interesting for me, and I wonder where it's at for all of you, because you've got a group of fans that have the thinking that a player has earned. You hear it all the time. I was listening to Shams earlier this morning on the Pat McAfee show. They're going to work with the player to get them to where they want to be. They've earned that right. So you've got one group that feels that way on behalf of the players and fans. And then you've got the other group of fans that think they're not owed anything. They're under contract to play for this team. They fulfilled their duties. What have they exactly earned beyond the money that they're being paid for playing the game of basketball. And that's where you get into this big debate about how situations like that are managed. But really interesting by PK. All right, let's get back to the headlines. Then we'll go back to the chat. If you want to call the show, all you got to do. In fact, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to create a new link because I saw a couple of you dropped off. So I'm going to put a brand new link in and I'm going to put it into the QR code as well. So here is your new link that you've got to hit if you want to call the show. Boom, right there. I will update the QR code right now with it. And we are ready to rock and roll. New link. We are good. All right, back to the headlines we have talked about tonight. Who's in, who's out, play-in tournament. Last night, or actually this morning, Carmelo Anthony, dropped by Shams on the Pat McAfee show, will be the headline inductee to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. I kind of had like some weird feelings about this because when I sit back and think about Carmelo Anthony, he was a great player, but I don't put like necessarily Carmelo in the group of other players that some people put him into. Like with the LeBrons and the Currys, I think he was kind of a step below that, but there's no doubt that he brought success to places he went. Denver really revitalized that fan base for a while, went to New York, had success there. Even had some really decent years towards the end of his career in Portland and was a great guy, kind of like a Jay Crowder on the back end of the bench. So, and winning a college basketball championship in year one as a freshman, true freshman for Syracuse, that does not go unnoted. By the way, apparently his son headed to Syracuse as well. That's kind of cool. So congratulations to Carmelo Anthony. Last night, Steph Curry went off. Steph Curry reminded you why he is Steph Curry and you are not. He had 12 three-pointers against the Memphis Grizzlies last night. If not for Nikola Jokic, he would have had the biggest night in the association. 52 points. Not only did he have a massive game, the Warriors end up beating the Grizzlies as well. You know, the Warriors have only lost twice now since the Jimmy Butler trade. That's a pretty incredible stat to me. And more controversy. Go figure. Coming out of Memphis. Guess who? Ja Morant. The NBA is now investigating Ja Morant for making a gun-like gesture in last night's game. Ja Morant's fascination with guns, this is from the New York Post, hasn't seemed to wane. Morant, who has a checkered past to playing with guns on camera, made a gun gesture towards the Warriors bench at the end of Tuesday night's loss, upsetting Warriors star Steph Curry and Draymond Green. It has drawn attention of the NBA, which is investigating the gesture, along with one made by Warriors, go figure, Buddy Hield. According to ESPN, Morant reposted on X a close-up picture of Hield, also throwing up a gun sign at Morant on the sideline. So we're going to play who did it first. He did it, so I did it back. With Ja Morant's history, and by the way, you just fired Taylor Jenkins. Do you see what Taylor Jenkins was dealing with? You see these reports that Taylor Jenkins lost the locker room? Could anybody keep control of that locker room? Especially when Dillon Brooks was in it? We wait for more information on Taylor Jenkins and why he was ultimately dismissed. But if you are Adam Silver right now, like, what are you doing? Like, how are you handling this with Ja Morant? Ja Morant has had chance after chance, and I'm not saying that making the gesture is in the same category of being on video holding a firearm. But what I am saying is when you have been suspended repeatedly, at one point indefinitely, and given time to clean up your image in the NBA, think about this. The NBA has continued to have faith in John Morant. There's that much talent there. The NBA so badly wants to market his game. They're trying to remarket him. And dude ain't ever gonna change. At what point do you just realize it's who he is? And if you're Adam Silver, like, this is being called into the principal's office for the third time. I don't know what the talk was like after the second time when John Morant was brought back, but I don't know what Adam Silver is going to do. Like, it's just a gesture. If anybody else does it, it's not good. But with John Morant's history, this could land him in some serious trouble. And this is a Memphis team that is floundering, trying to hold on to host a home playoff game. Damn.
Of the physical, grinding.
What, Adam? I thought you wanted to marinate. There's no grinding with this.
I want to let it marinate a bit.
So, Commissioner Ears, he is ticked. He has got to be ticked at that. Nikola Jokic, massive game last night in a loss, 62 points. I get it. This guy's different. He could play the game for a really long time if he wants to, because he plays the game differently. I still think SGA is the MVP of the league. I don't know if there's anything Jokic can do the rest of the season that's going to move me off that point. I still think SGA is the MVP of the league, but take notice of how Denver is playing in good nights and bad nights. They lost on a 62-point night from him, but nonetheless, big performance. As we've talked about, Stockton, they have their opponent for tomorrow night. It's the Valley Suns. I have seen the Valley Suns one time this season up close and personal, and they are good. They are quick. They are a challenge. Not going to lie to you. Ty Washington, John Stockton's son, David Stockton, they also play a fast brand of basketball. Both teams have won a meeting this year. Because they've met 2 times that I know of, and they split. The Stockton Kings beat them on the road, and Valley Suns beat them in Stockton. The game was that I was at, but tickets still on sale. Get down to Stockton tomorrow night. There's not a Kings game. It will not cost you a lot of money, and you're going to see a heck of a basketball game. I'm telling you, Ty Washington, future, not future like star, all-star in the NBA, but Ty Washington, when Phoenix starts this rebuild, that's going to become a name that you are familiar with. That is going to be a name that you become very, very familiar with. And last but not least, I'm going to save this for a little bit. Did you catch what happened in Atlanta last night? Between timeouts, they were running a contest. Let's just put it this way. A contest went horribly wrong. It was a layup / tic-tac-toe contest, and it went sideways. Not going to tell you how it went sideways, but I will share the story here with you in a little bit. Oh, man. I mean, there's been some good moments in sports with stuff like this where people hit half court shots. In fact, I don't remember which game it was, but a couple of weeks ago, there was a game where somebody hit a half court shot and then somebody threw a French fry into this big fry container that was basically at half court and they were under the hoop and they won both of the contests, and it's what ended up getting the crowd super fired up. And then the basketball team made a run and they were able to win the game. But anyways, this one last night, it's up there. I feel for the dude. I feel for the dude. And if anybody's thinking like, is he going to hire an attorney? We'll talk about that on the back end. So the table is set for all of you. We have got more than enough to talk about today. So let me know how you're doing, what you want to talk about. If you want to call the show, would love to have you. Don't forget, we have you all night here covered. Beginning after this show, we'll run you straight into the tip off of the Kings and the Wiz. And then at halftime, Jerry Reynolds joins us. Grant will be here as well. Break down, hopefully, a very vanilla first half, a dominant first half by the Kings. Should be. Got to create your own energy in this one, no doubt. We'll give you our predictions for the second half. We'll get your scores as well. And then after the game, we wrap it up with the post-game show. Would love to hear from all of you. Call us, hit us with some messages. Definitely will have something to talk about, either good or bad. But again, two things today. Number one, beat them by a lot. Number two, don't get hurt. Those are your two big things coming into this one. All right. So what are we talking about in the chat? Where do we want to go? What should we hit? Let's see. Joker is by far top dog. PK, I'm just not sure. Like I was hearing Shams this morning and Pat McAfee was talking about how long some of these guys might be able to keep playing the game, because some of the skills that these guys have do not diminish with age. In some ways, they get better, like basketball IQ, shooting, you could argue, gets better. Passing, I don't know where that really falls, but speed, those kind of speed, your body breaking down, those are all the things that kind of pile up injuries that stop you from playing. But Joker was an example that was brought up. How long? Because he doesn't play with a ton of impact. He doesn't play a lot above the rim on his joints. How long could he keep going? How long could Steph Curry keep going? Now, Steph, I don't think is going to stick around too long. I think Steph will go out at the right time. But LeBron, good example of that. Really the first guy, him and Tom Brady, that put a ton of money into their bodies. So, Sam, Joker will go down as a top 10 player in NBA history. Interesting. Very interesting. Kamikaze. What's up, Kamikaze? PK, on a league in which defense is banned, three-point shooting frenzy is the order. I don't think they are worried for records more than scoring and viewership. Viewership is not good right now. I'll tell you this, Kamikaze, it is a little head scratching that the NBA is looking to expand internationally, specifically into Europe, and collaborate with maybe FIBA or another league and create basically an NBA European league. I don't see how you create another league while you've got some of the problems that you do in this league. And what happens is it's masked by the money that's coming in. It's only going to, Adam Silver's only going to start feeling the pressure of the viewership being down when the people that hold the television rights for the games when the advertising revenue that they start getting in return goes down. Until then, we're going to keep seeing the same thing. But I can promise you this: that John Morant gun gesture, he's gonna rule with an iron fist with that. Yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. There is getting MVP fatigue. It happens. It's real. It's definitely real. Uh let's see. Doge Joker should be a 4. Yep, a lot of people saying that. Kamikaze getting a ton of love. Why do you think the NBA ratings are down? I think, well, here's the thing. I don't know how the NBA is quantifying and measuring their ratings because you can't just quantify them based off of traditional means, because the means in which people and fans are watching have changed. The options have expanded. You have shorter attention spans. But I think that, Jerry Reynolds, I'm going to go back to something that Jerry Reynolds said that it really resonated with me. He said back in the day, and even if you think about this, back in the 1998 to 2004, 2005 Kings, teams had personalities, not players. Teams had personalities. And I don't think you see that as much anymore. And so I think that plays into it. I think people are tired of seeing the 3-pointer, to be honest with you. I think it's more vanilla, but then you get complaints from viewers when there's too many stoppages in play, when games are called too closely. So I don't know. I just know that the NBA, can we agree that it's off balance? It's not balanced. But then the question becomes, has the NBA really ever been balanced? There's a time where it was physicality, the bad boy Pistons, the old school Celtics. So I think we're going through an era. Here's what I will say. Without that Sacramento Kings team from 2001 to 2004, I don't believe, and I said this on when I got to do 5 minutes with Jim Rome back in 2017. I said this to him on the radio. I said, I don't think you have the Golden State Warriors dynasty if not for the Sacramento Kings. I think the Sacramento Kings are the ones that started, that it really kind of cracked that door open for positionless basketball. The way they moved the ball, the way they played their bigs, the where they put their bigs. I think that is what was kind of the model that Golden State looked at and said, all right, we like that model. How can we do it better? So I don't know if Golden State goes that other way. So SGA MVP, I would think so. Lakers fan here, I will choose. Okay, cool. Domas, Keegan, and Keon as the foundation of your team. Okay, so here's my question to a lot of you who are choosing those three. Does that keep you in the middle? Does that keep you in basketball purgatory? If you don't know what basketball purgatory is when we say that on this show, it's being in the play-in. It's being towards the bottom of the play-in. It's being the 11th seed or the 11th team in the Western Conference. That's basketball purgatory because you're not getting a good draft pick. You're not going to say you're not getting a good draft pick. You're likely not getting a top draft pick. Yet you're not winning enough to get anywhere. So I want to see how all of you balance it out and negotiate it, and then I will give you my take on it. It's crazy that people are more bothered by Ja Morant's gun hand gesture than they are the real gun violence epidemic that plagues the country. Just saying. Okay, well, politics are something that I don't usually bring into the King's Court, but it's a valid point. I guess progressive, the question I would ask is, who is it exactly that's offended by the gesture? To me, the gesture, to me, there is a standard in the NBA. There is a standard as a professional. I mean, these guys are so routine oriented. They all have their little things, their secret handshakes. They've all got their 3-ball symbols that they put up when they make their threes. But there's also other things, like anytime a teammate goes to the ground, you help them up. You never get help from the other team. Every time you shoot a free throw, you're slapping hands with every teammate. If you can't get to the ones behind you, you put your hand behind you. You saw a great example of this last game in Indiana. If somebody tries to take a shot when there's a timeout, you don't let them see the ball go through the hoop. You saw Malik Monk go 3 times for a layup, and the Pacers were knocking it. They were jumping up and knocking it out of the hoop, and finally the refs had to come stop it. So there's those unwritten rules, right? But there's also like this code between the players, and you could even say there's a code with the officials, which instant replay has now really muddied up. But I think that is a sliding scale, depending on your character, depending on your persona. What are you allowed to do? Because what have you earned? What credibility through character have you earned to be able to walk up to certain lines? For Ja Morant, that is a line that you can't even go around. So it's not so much the gesture that I think is of concern. It's the fact that he has had such a, what do you want to call it? Relationship, obsession. This dude is he is a top 1%er of the 1%ers of basketball players in the world. In the world. He makes all the money. Think about how much money he lost from being suspended. You have everything in front of you. You have kids looking up to you. You have a platform that could, in any area of life, that you decided you could be useful towards and serve. You have a platform that people can be reached. But all of that is not as important as guns, as portraying a lifestyle that is the opposite of what the NBA wants to promote. Ja Morant had everything taken away from him professionally by Adam Silver. But yet that's still more important. So I think it's bigger than the gesture. There's the way the league looks at it. They certainly don't want kids by the way, kids who my 10-year-old son had to tell me about training they went through if there was going to be an active shooter on campus. A 10-year-old had to negotiate the thoughts of what that meant. My son doesn't watch basketball, but if he did, and he sees Ja Morant making gun symbols, that's not the message you want to send. And if you're an NBA front office, what do you do with Ja Morant? He was already this year. There's questions about, would you take him on? Is the talent worth the trouble? I just feel like it's a sad story. Like, it almost feels like hope is lost for this dude. If that's what you want to do, and that's more important than you, go start you a firearms business. Go do what you want with the millions of dollars that you have made playing basketball. Just go do it. I think is that not the message that Adam Silver is saying? Go do it. Just don't do it here. You won't do it here. Ja Morant, when it comes to that, think about in your lives. If there's something that is an extremely personal and extremely touchy subject, the thought of it kind of makes you, tense up. Like, that is where the NBA was at with Ja Morant and this firearm stuff. Because if you don't remember, there were unsubstantiated reports that a laser that normally would be attached to a firearm was pointed in at another team's bus. How about Ja Morant's dad getting kicked out of games all the time? Ja Morant being encouraged to change his inner circle. It's not changing. So I'm serious. I mean, I get it. The gesture's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. It's the person doing the gesture and what it means behind it. So I don't know what Adam Silver does. I mean,
He would
he's
step
an
across the
habitual
line.
line stepper.
Habitually. He's a habitual line stepper.
And Adam Silver, by the way, with this TV rights deal, with everything going on, the ratings being down, don't think for a second that Adam Silver will not take an opportunity to act like he is ruling with an iron fist and make an example of something like this. Usually when it comes to sports, you come to sports to get away from, for some people, I should say, come to sports to get away from things like politics, to get away from whatever you're dealing with personally. When they intersect, it's never great. It doesn't usually work out well. So Mars hopping in. I find it hard to believe that a brand new coach in front office will want to rebuild around Domas, who's just so weird to build around. His skill set, I'm with you. And we got into that conversation yesterday. I wonder, you can't take away Domas's accomplishments, what he's played through, the amount of hustle, the amount of just pure love of the game that he has left on the court here in Sacramento. You can't quantify it. You can't take it away from him. But I wonder when NBA GMs and owners and scouts look back on the last 3.5 years, 4.5 years, 3.5 years of Domantas Sabonis in Sacramento, they're going to see all that. That is a given. That comes with Domas wherever he goes. But I also feel like Sacramento could be the place that exposed the fact that you can't. I'm not going to say you can't build around Domantas Sabonis. What I'm going to say is you can't build through Domantas Sabonis. The only logical conclusion that I can draw from this team avoiding signing or drafting a true point guard, like avoiding it like the plague. In fact, they did the opposite. They would draft guys that were not point guards and not shooting guards, just smack in the middle. The only conclusion I can draw from that is that the vision with Domantas Sabonis is that your point guard. He is the one that things run through. And if that happens to be the opinion of the NBA, that it's been exposed that doesn't necessarily work with Domas, how does that affect his value? I think his value is already not exactly. I don't think every GM in the NBA would take Domas at that value. I think every GM in the NBA would take Domas, but it would be at a lower value. What you need to find is situations where Domas would thrive. That's what you need to find, because those teams would be willing to take it on. But I just, if the Kings keep Domas, you have to have a true point guard. It's when you get the best Domantas Sabonis. Period. End of story. But this experiment of playing through him, it's been the biggest hole in the Kings Swiss cheese the last 3.5 years. So, all right, let's listen to, remember, last game, Doug Christie had some comments about how he felt on the Kings offense, it getting stagnant, and just the disappointment because the Kings played so well through 3 quarters. Here was Doug Christie after the Pacers loss.
Fantastic first half. Competed actually really, really good through 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, got a little stagnant. I know 27 3-pointers is just not enough for us to attempt the assists at 22. Going to have to move the ball. But the thing that stands out is the 12 turnovers for 20 points. Got to make sure that, first of all, 12 turnovers isn't crazy amount in a game, but giving up 20 points off of them. So, give the Pacers credit. I mean, they're a good ball club playing at home, and we just have to find a way to win ball games as we.
Gary, agreed with you 100%. But Gary, here's the problem with this CBA, this new CBA, which, by the way, every GM during the GM poll at the start of the season said, no. That better be a hoops hype problem and not an internet problem. Let's see if we can get this going. You know what the computer's doing? Sorry, y'all. You're getting the sound. The computer is doing it. No. I'm getting the...
Dong, dong, dong.
All right, we're back on track. At $47 million in this CBA, you can't pay that much money to have somebody coming off the bench. Case in point, Phoenix. You just can't do it. That's the problem. That's how every single GM would take him. And I don't think Domas deserves to come off the bench. I think he should be a starter. But with the new CBA, if he's not your own free agent and you're trading for him, which means all of that money is going against the cap, you can only have one more player that's really near that pay scale, or else it doesn't work. Look at how the Kings are constructed right now. You've got Domas and Levine. It was Fox and Domas before that. And I think that is why you see, or you saw, I should say, the trade deadline so active. I think teams are going to have a shorter tolerance when it comes to letting things run out or running it back. I think teams are going to be flipping stars more often. And on the other side of that, I think you're going to continue seeing the star players take shorter contracts. LeBron kind of started doing that. I know Jordan did it for a little bit back in the day, but LeBron has been the, sorry for the pun, king of that here in the latter stages of his career. All right, back to Doug Christie.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's the internet sound. We're fixed.
Compete for 3 quarters, 4 quarters, and all of a sudden things get a little bumpy, and we got to make sure that we're able to finish. And tonight, we did not.
What kind of problems did you see with that kind of smaller lineup with Toppin at the 5 that kind of gave you guys challenges?
Well, there was a couple shots with Toppin that he popped, and guys didn't even have a stick hand up. You got to make sure that you're arriving, knowing who that you're guarding. I mean, we cover personnel. They know he wants to get downhill, but also he has the ability to pop and knock down threes. So there just has to be a sense of urgency for everybody. And if there is a screen that's set and you see that your teammate is in a little bit of distress, just late red. Just call late red and get back, keep bodies in front of bodies, and we live. If there's, a mismatch, or, Tyrese had popped a couple times. Actually, he wasn't in the game when that particular instance happened. But if that's the case, get up on him, especially if you're a guard. I mean, he's a big guy. You should be able to keep him in front of you. But we had our hands down, and all of a sudden he's shooting shots, and he found confidence and knocked them down. And that was really a big difference in the game. They shot 41 threes. We shot 27. If we shoot more, we usually find space. We share the basketball and knock down shots. And tonight we did through most of the game, and then we got stagnant there, just trying to find our way.
Not often that you see Malik struggle scoring the way that he did tonight. Just a couple.
So, Gary, teams, there is a cap. You go over it, but with the new CBA, they've instituted penalties that really hinder teams' abilities to build in the future, number one, and improve during the season. Like Phoenix is paying Matt Ishbia is paying $160 million plus in luxury tax for that product. Teams scrambled this summer. The Kings did it too, to get salary off the books, to get under the cap because of the aprons, as they're called. The penalties. The first apron, the penalty, here's an example of a penalty. If a player is bought out or waived, that's making or was making, I believe the number was 12.3. It was either 12.3 or 12.8. It was the mid-level exception. If they were making that when they were bought out and you're in the first apron, you are not a team that can go sign them. So the days of seeing players, really good players like Russ Westbrook getting cut or getting bought out and then going to like one of the contenders to win the championship, they're trying to move that away. You also, like in the second apron, you can lose draft picks. So the going rate that we saw in this offseason to get salary off the books was a second round pick. That's how important getting salary off the books was. I am not an expert in any way with this new CBA. I just know that it is incredibly difficult to navigate. The NBA is trying to redistribute the player wealth amongst the small markets. And for the GMs, it takes away, unless you're going to be Matt Ishbia, who's going to pay 160 million plus in luxury tax. And you're going to say, you know what? I'll do it. I'm going to do it for a year because we're going to win a championship this year. We'll take the penalties in 2030. We know we're good enough to win this year. Those are the only times you are going to see quote unquote super teams in this CBA. Now, the exception to the rule is Oklahoma City, where they have drafted incredibly well. They have a war chest of draft picks. And when you re-sign, this is the key. When you re-sign your own free agents, you don't have to pay luxury tax on what's over the cap with them. You are allowed to go over with those players because they were your own free agents. So they can sign SGA to a supermax. They can sign Chet Holmgren to a max. They can keep all those players and still have room to make moves. So the premium with this new CBA is 100% on drafting well and developing talent, which a good thing for you and the rest of the Kings fans. The Stockton Kings and the Sacramento Kings have done an incredible job of the last 3 years. Incredible job. Doug Christie, one more time.
What do you, how do you talk to him through the course of that, him or anybody that's going through that, and then your kind of decision to stick with him down the stretch? What made you lean in his direction?
Well, knowing that we're going to need a little bit of playmaking and we're going to need to make some shots. Plus, if we're going to win at a high level, we're going to need Malik Monk. Make no mistake about it. So when I took him out, Tyrese was in the game. Just wanted to give him a minute or two, get your breath, get your legs about you. And not that he was tired, but put Keon in, let Keon do what Keon does defensively. And also just the confidence that I have in Malik. He's going to make shots. These are 2 tough games for him in a row, but it's not anything that he hasn't faced before. So with the amount of shots that he gets, he'll be able to find his way. I'm extremely confident in that. The way that he plays, we just got to make sure that we're all of us, not only elite, all of us taking care of the basketball, because that's big, especially against these teams that the margin of error is so small. Those aren't the points that we can give away. You cut that down in half to 10 and we win the game going away.
Yeah, I think it would. Mars, I'm with you. I love Domas. Big Domas guy. Like in my book, he will go down as one of those players that is the epitome of what Sacramento Kings basketball historically has stood for and should stand for, because Sacramento fans show out for the hustle. They show out for the grit, for playing every night, the defense, the multiple offensive rebounds in the and one. That's what, at least for me as a Kings fan, in my experience, those are the times that I remember Arco getting the loudest. The times that the Kings turn defense into offense and are diving on the ground, or Keegan Murray is chasing somebody around with the ball for 23 seconds of the shot clock. Those are the loudest moments I remember in the Golden One Center. It's not the made threes. It's not the dunks. Domas will always be that guy. And I'm not saying you can't have Domas in Sacramento and can't have success with Domas in Sacramento. I'm saying you can't have success with Domas in Sacramento if you are running the system through Domas. And that is where a fresh set of eyes, I believe, needs to come in and look at this. And I think a fresh set of eyes would see. I think executives around the NBA are kind of seeing that. I mean, Domas has gotten snubbed off of 2 all-star teams, and he was an all-NBA guy this last season. But it hasn't worked when you run through him. Now, you can run with him. You let him do all the stuff that he's great at. You let him do the pick and roll. You use him to set great picks for your guys that are your shooters and on the perimeter. Heck, even mix in a DHO once in a while. But the days of running the DHO up and down the court through Domas, it's done. And the Kings, for whatever reason, have refused to rethink the way this thing's ran. And when they have rethought it for a game or 2 or 3, it's looked pretty promising. But then we just go back to what we have been seeing most of this season. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. I do know this. You can't do what you did with De'Aaron Fox with Domantas Sabonis. You can't rush a deal for him. You got to do right by the franchise and not the player, in my opinion, especially after with what you did with Fox. But as PK said at the beginning, it sets up a weird precedent, right? Because Domas is going to say, well, you sent Fox where he wanted to go. And this is all assuming that Domas wants clarification at the end of the season, which seems completely reasonable. Who would not want clarification on what the heck's going on here in Sacramento as we bring you back in? Okay, so I talked about this a little bit earlier. This was one of the more awkward fan contests and more uncomfortable fan contests that I've ever seen. And we've seen fans get involved in the game at some point or another, right? Like we saw the fan here in Sacramento that had the reversal of fortune. We've seen players interact with the fans negatively. We've seen players and fans fight each other. In the Malice in the Palace, we've seen fans hit half-court shots. You remember Folsom Lake Ford always sponsoring the half-court shot in between the 3rd and 4th quarter? God bless Chuck Peterson, man. What a guy. But I still think the all-time, the best fan moment that is usually forgotten and was never meant as part of the script for the game still is this guy. I hope my man Patrick's off work because he's going to remember this guy. Do you remember Monday Night Football back in the day where the dude jumped out of the stands to catch, I think it was an extra point or a field goal? If you don't, take a listen.
He's on the field tonight, but how you're going to see something off the field that's a classic here.
Follow the ball as it goes up the tunnel from the right side of your screen. Watch this fella jump out of the stands into the tunnel. He appears to be at least 10 feet off the ground, if not more.
This is a don't try this.
No, don't try this. Watch this. There he goes off into space. He catches the ball, goes all the way down the tunnel. And folks, the guy's all right. He's back in his seat.
He just signed a 3-year deal with
And here's the dude.
I'm from the
Now we got the guy. What's your name?
Michael Bantazis. I'm from the north side of Chicago. I played football at Sullivan High School.
Well, Mike, you could have gotten yourself hurt jumping down like that.
I played defense, offense. I got great hands. I played football my whole life. I love it, baby.
You got a little Monday Night Football history, too.
Oh, yes.
Let's go back to the game now.
Like, are you kidding me? Go YouTube that. I wish I could play it here for you. I can't. Go YouTube it. This guy could not have timed this thing any better. He jumps from the stands. He's like 12. Think about this. Like, if you have a diving board at your house, right? If you have a diving board, yeah, Patrick's here. Heck yes.
Acknowledge me.
So if you have a diving board at your house, or you've ever been someplace at a pool with a diving board, or a friend that has a pool with a diving board, you know, like you throw the football to them when they're jumping as high as they can off the diving board. I grew up with one, so we would do that all the time. And just to time that right took like a little bit. So for this guy to jump out of the stands, time it perfectly and catch it and not get injured, mind blown. So anyways, fast forward back to yesterday in Atlanta. They are doing a contest during one of the timeouts where you have to lay the ball up. Once you lay the ball up and in, you get a tic-tac-toe piece and you go and put it on the board. So you got one guy going towards the other bucket and the other guy on the opposite end of the court, then meeting at center court once they've made the layup to put their tic-tac-toe piece down. Let me kick it to the Atlanta in-game entertainment.
My contestants here, we got James and Daz. They are ready for this take 5 oil change tic-tac-toe game. Now, this is a basketball game, so we had to add some basketball in it. They have to make a layup in order to get a game piece. Once they grab their game piece, they'll place it on the board, and the first to get all 5 game pieces or tic-tac-toe will be our winner. So, James, Daz, are you ready? All right, then tic-tac, go! Oh, James! Oh.
Uh-oh. This guy goes, no joke. He goes in for his first layup and he plants his foot to go up and he completely slips backwards. There must have been a massive wet spot on the court. That's all I can think of. Because dude was wearing the Jordan 13s, which in my opinion are the best Jordans ever made. So I know those J's had grip. I played in those J's through college. And he goes back down on the floor and he is laying in a pile to the point where the other competitor is still going on. And the lady's like, what are you doing? Have some compassion for this guy.
Wait, can you just be kind and come over here with me and check on James? Dog, Dez, we know you won, but okay. Turn around. Okay, we gonna check on him, but I mean, I don't. CM, I can't give you a winner. Back to you.
So at this point, if you're watching this, if you're at the arena, it's the only way you're seeing it, or maybe you have a league pass and you're seeing it from afar. The first thing that I'm thinking is this is set up. Like, there's no way that this is not set up. This was for sure something they were trying to do to go viral. It was too perfect. The guy, the way he slipped and fell, he must be a professional. Must be like a stunt dude. They got us, right? You even got the in-game entertainment that's like, I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. I guess we don't have a winner. We'll send you back. And so as the time goes on, this dude's still down. And the next thing you know, the paramedics start surrounding him. And then they bump back into break from the game. Or they bump in from break, from commercial. And here's the Hawks TV.
First quarter. We have a little bit of a delay here, and you can see the reason why. A fan went in for a layup, lost his footing, and landed on his back and shaken up. So every precaution taken by the experts here at State Farm Arena, so they're going to get him taken care of. And we both can speak to how good they are at what they do.
Hey, they're the best. They're the best, you know, and they get down there quickly.
So
they see a problem, and they got
coaches,
3 or 4 guys down
over,
there taking care of that problem. So you
talking
see
about it.
Young man being wheeled off the floor. And
they're wheeling him off in a stretcher.
Nice round of applause as the young man heads to the back to get checked out. Back to business here, second quarter.
And he goes off on a stretcher. It was real. Yes, Justin, unbelievable point. I didn't even think about that. It was April 1st. I didn't even think about that. Well done by you. I thought it was a joke until he went off on a stretcher. This dude tore his ACL. From the New York Post. As a Hawks fan appeared to suffer an injury while taking part in a contest during a timeout during Atlanta's 127-113 loss to the Trailblazers, the fan in question taking part in tic-tac-toe themed competition at State Farm Arena went to go up for a layup and seemed to slip. The fan seemed to take a few steps in the paint, and he went down immediately, grabbing his knee. Video from the scoreboard inside the venue showed a game operations staffer then walked over to check on the fan. Hawks.com reported that the injury was not an April Fool's Day prank, and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported that a wheelchair and then a stretcher was brought out for the fan, which we saw. A second video posted to X confirmed that the fan was placed on a stretcher. To make the situation even more bizarre, the fan that got injured was competing against, we talked about that, the other person, arena hostess. Yep, we talked about her. Can you just wait? Yeah. So, tore his ACL. And the Hawks had to say it was not an April Fool's joke. Awful, man. Just brutal. And I can't get on that guy. The dude that's wearing number 26 there, I can't get on him for keeping going. He doesn't know what's going on. Heck, he might have thought that the prank was on him. You know what I mean? But what an awkward moment. And I feel bad for this kid. Tearing his ACL. I mean, he's going to go down in the history of like fan segment, Hall of Fame. He's going to go down in history for that one, all for the wrong reasons. And since this is the King's Court, let me give you the court version of this. No, he probably does not have any type of lawsuit, because before they bring you on the floor, you are signing a waiver. So I'm guessing the Hawks will do something for this guy. I hope he has good health insurance. But think about that. Like an ACL for a professional athlete that's at the least 8 months, and that's with the top of the line newest treatments. Like, this is gonna be a year at least of this guy's life because of this contest. So the fact that he was in the 13s, and yes, I saw the comment in the chat about the 13s, the white and purple lows. Doge. So those that don't know, I talked about this a little bit on the show before. I got to know Mike Bibby while he was here playing in Sacramento after the 2003 season. In fact, I worked out with Mike 3 times a week with Al Biacani, and it wasn't just me and Mike, it was a group of us, but Mike was part of the group, and it was for college and professional athletes in the off season. And then we would go over to one of the high school gyms that wasn't far from the gym we were working out at, and we would do basketball stuff. And so I got cool with Mike. He understood that I understood the game, got to pick his brain on a lot of cool stuff. He was really big on muscle memorization. And that was at a time before I had never heard, and that was 2004. I had never heard muscle memorization. And that's what Mike was all about when we were talking about shooting. He didn't focus on the hoop. He didn't focus on anything but making the same motion over and over, because he knew if he made the same motion, kind of like a golf swing, the ball would go in. And so, long story short, I used to work Mike's camps for him. And Mike would, take care of a lot of us with the camps. And when I say take care of us, I mean, we didn't get paid to work the camps, but we would get gear. We would get Jordan stuff, right? And all I wanted were those white and purple 13s. I wanted those so bad. So bad. I had the black 17s from 02 that were low cut, that even have still the inscription on them, the player exclusive ones, the PEs that say bib 10 TD. I still have those. They're in terrible shape somewhere. One of them's floating around in my garage. But I was trying so hard to wiggle my way into a pair of those 13s without Mike knowing it. Like, I was in people's ears, because what would happen is the day before camp would end. So we would do a contest every single day at the end of camp for each age group of the campers. And whoever won that age group, whatever the contest was, whether it's knockout, 3-point contests, etc., they would get a pair of Jordans at the end of the week. And so when it came time for the day before the last day, Mike would always come around to you and say, size. And you tell him your size, and you didn't know what you were going to get. And so they'd usually be stuff that weren't out yet. And I was always praying that those white and purples were coming. And I was like in people's ears. I was like, hey, do you know what they're going to be? You think they can be the white and purple 13 lows? Those were, I think you can find them now that Jordan's done so many different releases. I wanted that pair of shoes so bad. I still want that pair of shoes so bad. We're hoping to get Mike on the channel, actually, now that he is back as the head coach of Sac State. What up, Mike? What's up, Bibbs? But yes, those 13s. Those 13s were bad. Those were so bad. No, I was not part of Team Dime. No. Was not part of Team Dime. That was a weird setup. I mean, I'm not going to say too much about it because I wasn't around it a ton, but I know. So my coach, Steve Fisher, he was an assistant coach for the Kings in the 90s for a year. And so that was the connection between him and Al Biacani. Al Biacani is the strength and conditioning coach of the Kings. And I didn't forget the call link, dude. It's up. And so Al Biacani told me, he's like, he straight up said to me, he goes, you need to find a way to approach Mike. He goes, you're being an idiot if you don't approach Mike. And I'm like, okay. And so this is, and by the way, huge Kings fan. This is in the like literally right in the heart of Kings mania, right? And I'm thinking, how do I go up to him and not seem like a fan, not seem like a groupie? Yes, Michigan coach, 100%. Yep, Michigan coach, Fab Five. Yep, you got it. That's Steve Fisher, the one who rebuilt San Diego State with Brian Dutcher, that Coach Dutch is now coaching. And trust me, San Diego State, when I was there, is not San Diego State like they are now. But so here's what I did. So the guys, they would get there early. They would get to the gym early. And there was like this room that had all these different mirrors in them. And they set up a table in there. And so him and the Team Dime dudes, whichever ones came for the day, they'd be playing cards. And so I'm like, I might as well go up. And I'm like, Mike, I'm like, sorry to bother you guys. And I swear, I thought the Team Dime dudes were like going to stare a hole through me. Like I felt their eyes burning on my skin. I was like, Mike, my name's Ryan. I'm down at San Diego State. I'm working with Al. I'm an undersized point guard. I respect many of the parts of your game. I just have a couple questions when it comes to ball handling and your routine. If you would have a few minutes at any point during this summer, I would greatly appreciate just a couple minutes of your time. And so that was it. And I walked out of the room and he was like, okay, like just kind of shaking his head. And so we do our workouts. And what would happen is the college guys would get grouped with the college guys, pros would be grouped with the pros. Darius Sangaila was one of the guys that was always at those workouts that we did the gym workouts with, the basketball gym workouts with. But Al would start to mix it up. And the reason that Al encouraged me to go up to Mike was because he was going to mix me up with Mike. I didn't know it at that time. But Mike, and not knowing that Al was going to mix us up, Mike came up to me after the workouts and he took me into that room with the mirrors. And we spent, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes, 30, 40 minutes talking about ball handling, talking about muscle memorization, doing ball drills. I will never forget it. And that's how it started. And so then I got to know everybody else. And again, not Mike Bibby's best friend whatsoever, but I had the pleasure of getting to at least be close enough to where he trusted me to work his camps. And so, yes, very cool stuff. So I have not seen Mike probably in 10 years, not seen him in person in 10 years, but oh man, those white and purples. And that year for camp, we got I forget what Jordan it was now, but we would always get the lows because Mike wore lows, but they were a color that hadn't come out yet. They were like a month ahead of schedule. And I remember wearing them to Arden Mall. And we went into the Foot Locker and somebody was just like, wait, and so that was kind of fun. But anyways, enough about my stories. But in fact, I tell you, everything behind me has a purpose. Everything in the King's Court has a purpose. There's a picture of us right there. There's me, Mike, and my little brother. So my little brother got to go to camp for free since I was working them. So there you go. And yeah, I was kind of weird. There was some people that thought I kind of looked like Mike. And I did go through that awkward stage where I kind of did the chin strap. And I wasn't trying to directly look like Mike, but I guess now looking back, I was, which is kind of weird. So Mike, if you ever see that, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to be you. Anyways, let's get back on track. All right, you guys think you know each other in real life. There you go. Ryan has fortitude. That was it took something to go up to him. For sure. It took something. Yep, Steve Fisher. All right. So what are we thinking tonight? Did you ever play at the Salvation Army on Broadway in Oakland Park? No, I did not. I did not play there because that was after that, I never came home for a summer because you either had to be doing the program down there or you needed to be doing a program like that. And so the rest of my summers up until and my whole situation with the basketball team was so unique because I practiced with both teams. I practiced with the men's and the women's at times. So it was definitely different and cool. So, all right. Visualization. I don't know. He just talked a lot about muscle memorization. That was his big thing, but you hear it all the time now. You hear it all the time. Mamba mentality. Dude, I've got okay. Do any of you ever go thrifting? Do we have thrifters here in the house? Thrifting is one of those things that I actually really enjoy. Like whether you hit your Goodwill, whether you some of the Goodwills, I don't want to tell you, but the Elk Grove Goodwill is really good. There's some really good stuff there. I hate sharing that secret. I know there's Eco Thrift, and then there is also Crossroads, but that's a little bit more high end. You don't pay too much more, but you know that they're gonna have some nice stuff. I walked into a Goodwill about this time last year and found a brand new, not that didn't have the box, but a pair of Kobe's that were like back in the day. They were like a space edition. They're Golden State colors. I still have them. It's insane. Kazzy, what's up?
Hey, Ryan, did you hear about the news with Ja?
No, did they drop a suspension?
Oh, is that, wait, I'm referring to the thing that happened at the Warriors game.
Yes, we talked about it at length earlier.
Oh, shit, my bad.
You're good.
But it looks like they're going to investigate into that altercation.
Yeah.
What do you make of that with Ja not doing that?
Dude, I'm not gonna. I did about 20 minutes on it.
Shit, I'll
go back and catch that. But I'll ask you, what do you make of it?
I'm just trying to think. Like, history is just starting to repeat itself with him. The two flashing of the over on IG, and now he's doing it like himself on the court towards, what was it, fans or the team?
The bench. And Buddy and Ja, then this is what makes it so childish. Ja on X posted a picture of Buddy Hield doing a sign as well. Like that to me, Kazi, and I didn't say this earlier, that even cements more that Ja doesn't get it. Like if he's in the mindset of, well, he did it too, with his history, then I don't know what you do with him if you're Adam Silver.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, John needs to see a specialist, a psychologist or something to spend X amount of hours. I don't know how much that is.
No, you don't need to see a psychologist. Like we're past that point. Like you either need to. I'm not saying you expel him from the NBA from this. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I think we are now getting to the line where it's either go live that life or be an NBA player. I think you are right at that line with Adam Silver.
No, I get that. Yeah, with Ja, like it's like, do you want to be a professional athlete or do you want to go be a gangster on the streets doing all type of shit? As far as the rest of the season goes, I probably see them only winning 38. The Phoenix is kind of a toss-up, depends on what they do. As far as the play, I think they will make the play-in. Well, I do see them winning their first game, but then I can see them getting absolutely embarrassed by whether it's Golden State or Minnesota.
Okay. You think that they win their first game in the play-in?
Yeah, I think they do.
All right. I could see them winning one in the play-in. I don't know that They need to show me something between tonight and Phoenix to end the season that they have not shown me up until this point that proves that they can win 2 games in a row.
Right. What happened? Because the thing is, I watched the first quarter and a half of that Orlando game, and I was just like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. What is going on? Like, I thought with Keon Ellis in the starting lineup, that was going to really, like, get them, like, going, especially defensively, but it seems like it just didn't matter. Like, I'm trying to figure this out. The chemistry is terrible.
Yes, it is. It was, we had the same questions about it. The fourth quarter, last game, that was what was mind-blowing to me because I don't know where the disconnect is, because Doug Christie says this team gets tired of doing things, the regular things, the things that are working over and over again, and they go away from it. But when you have a 6-minute stretch of basketball where Doug Christie's not called a single timeout and the Kings have not made a field goal, they've only scored 2 points. They got to the free throw line twice and only made 1 each time. But you're going to the same play every single possession to the point where Keegan Murray, check this out. I think I still have this up from last game. I do. To the point where Keegan Murray is coming all the way out here to set a ball screen for DeMar DeRozan.
At near half court.
Yes, where DeMar DeRozan, what is he going to do from there? His thing ain't quickness, it's craftiness.
I mean, Ryan, I could see if DeMar DeRozan was Steph Curry or Trae Young, Damian Lillard, then okay, yeah, jack a 3 from like 40 feet. But he's not Trae Young. He's not them.
Dude, he's not jacking a 3 unless his toe's on the line. And then it's 2.
Exactly.
So, but here was the other thing, though. Keon Ellis was 3 for 4 in the game. He was 2 for 3 from beyond the arc. He had 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and he only played 3 minutes and 43 seconds of the fourth quarter. Malik Monk, who I get Doug's reasoning. Monk is the clutcher of the 2 guys, but Doug got stubborn there. So for me, the disconnect is you can't tell me your team is doing wrong and getting tired of doing the things that work.
But right,
when you're sitting there letting it happen, you're either calling it like, I need somebody to ask Doug Christie, or ask DeMar DeRozan, are you calling your own number 9 times in a row, or is that coming from the bench? Like, what are you seeing, especially when it's something that was not what got you the lead? What got you the lead was moving the ball. It's just to see a Zach LaVine got a moving screen violation. To see a Zach LaVine and a DeMar DeRozan pick and roll, like, we're that desperate, and the Pacers didn't even score. Like, it took them 6 minutes to make 2 threes to win the game. During those stretches too.
Yeah.
So it's so confusing and it's so frustrating. So either Doug Christie, either somebody above Doug Christie is having some say in this, or Doug Christie's throwing his dudes under the bench. Like, or the players are just not listening to Doug. Those are the only 3 scenarios. And knowing DeMar DeRozan, Kazi, I don't think DeMar DeRozan's that dude that's going to call his number 9 times in a row. I just don't.
So in your final 4 minutes, would you rather have Ellis in, Monk out, or here's a X factor, or would you rather have Monk in for Murray with Ellis on the lineup too?
It depends on who's playing well.
That's the thing. They're all inconsistent.
Okay, but that's my point. So Keon, I get that he's not down the stretch the guy that you're going to run a play for to make a shot. He's not the guy you probably want taking the shot, but he's also the guy that can create a shot that you'll never get on offense because it comes from defense. And so when I look at Malik Monk's numbers during that game, 2 of 14 with 5 turnovers, like, I probably in that situation have Monk on the bench and I've got Keon in. And I'm going more towards Murray. Look, Keegan's doing his own little silent takeover right now. And I love it. I'm here for it. But I think a lot of Kings fans are blinded by the missed open threes that he has missed throughout the season. But anyways, go ahead.
No, I think that's all I have. I think we pretty much hit the nail on the head with the stuff. But yeah, I think it's just insane that they don't have a seasoned, closing or team right now.
Well, again, with the pieces that are on this team right now, like this is some high level stuff. Like a Greg Popovich would have a difficult time negotiating this. So Doug Christie's been put in a tough spot. But yeah, I hear you. Thanks, Cassie. Appreciate you. All right. We've got some stuff to clarify here. We've got some stuff to clarify. Y'all are saying Goodwill ain't thrifting. Huh. By the way, they were these Kobe's for those that are asking, not the 7s. I don't know what number these are. Yeah, those were just sitting there, brand new. You know what Goodwill did? They wrote the price on the bottom of the shoe. What do you think Goodwill either gets it actually 9 times out of 10, they get the value completely wrong. You'll see a terrible pair of shoes that's way overpriced, or you'll see these Kobe's for $12.99. It's incredible. I don't know how, like, you feel like you're stealing when stuff like that happens. Like I told the person at the register, I'm like, you realize these are way undervalued, but the shoe game has changed so much now that you got to have the box too. So we'll get to your comments, we'll get your score predictions, and we'll get you out to the game. But first, PK is back for a second helping. What's up, dude?
Hey, buddy. Hey, I miss you so much. I had to call you back.
Oh, good, man.
Hey, I have a really, like, it's amazing. To me, it blows my mind that you knew Darius, dude.
Sangaila? Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
cool dude. Yeah.
Dude, he's like, dude, I freaking love him. I've met him plenty of times. He's an amazing dude. But hey, I want to ask you, you were talking about your time at San Diego State and like dealing with young kids and talent. My favorite coach, I think, right now is JJ Redick because like I like how he analyzes things. And I don't know if you've ever followed when he had that pod before he got taken down. Like before when he was with like LeBron was on there. Like JJ Redick had a podcast that was
Yeah,
like
yeah. Him and
really
LeBron were
like
doing one
it
together.
was like where he was like doing X's and O's and analytics, kind of
Yeah.
like JJ you remind me of JJ a little bit. But he had Buzelis on a pod one time, and he's like listening to Buzelis talk, and Buzelis goes, I'm all about synergy. What is synergy as far as these young kids and basketball players mean? Like, what is that?
It's a great question, PK.
Because so like as soon as he said that word, I just saw like if you see that interview, JJ Redick's eyes just light up. He's like you're freaking how old? He's like you're 17 years old and you know about synergy?
It's another word for chemistry. Grant and I got into this the other day on a post-game show talking about chemistry, which this team does not really have right now. But it's something that is unintentionally cultivated through intentional actions.
Why is it so valuable in NBA when they look at young talent? Like when they look at like the young talent, I'm saying like Buzelis. Like why I don't understand why JJ Redick lit up so much
because
when
it's saying that I am a team this is my take on it. It is saying that the team is more important than my success individually. It is saying that I am willing to listen and be open. And imagine this now, these days, coming from guys that are coming from college that are being paid and have agents and AAU coaches in their ear that are telling them this is the way to do it. They've been through that entire thing, yet they make it to the highest level of basketball or about to make it to it. And they're still open to any type of tweaks to improve themselves and to do anything that makes the team better. Like a guy like watch Domantas Sabonis. He gets just as excited for his teammates as he does for himself. Like those are the little things. Those are the things that are synergy. But that's like, again,
That's what.
it's
So is it same as IQ? Is it like a new word for IQ? Like is it like
no, it's not a new
because
word for it's basically chemistry.
yeah,
That's really
but
what it
but
is.
they it's like what else like
Yes, being coachable. It's open ended. It's there is no definition for synergy. It's defined differently by every person that looks at it. But if you
uh-huh.
get a group of guys together that believe that same belief structure and have the same work ethics and hold each other accountable, that is how it starts to cultivate. And
Why
when
do coaches get so excited when they hear that word synergy from like a young talent? Is it the fact that it's like scarce, or is it the
yes,
fact it's just a scarce thing? It's because it's like everyone out of NBA can dunk a ball, can jump out of the freaking ceiling, but like why is it that like with especially with young talent why
well,
like
hey,
Greg Popovich also said that he's like synergy. I'm like, what does that mean?
again, it is different to every basketball
Yeah,
mind. It's open ended. There is no set definition for it. So hey, I'm gonna let you go because we
yeah,
are
okay
getting
buddy,
ready to
hey,
get out
thanks
the door.
thanks for answering my question.
Yep, appreciate you, PK. All right, get your scores in. I'm gonna get them up. Thank you for the compliments, Athena. Appreciate you. Give me your scores. What do you think tonight will be? I don't want to see anything under a 15-point victory, personally. This should be a complete blowout. The Pacers put up 162 on this Wizards team. BJ, 2 minutes. Get us out the door. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up going on? I was running around. I heard you talking about synergy. Synergy to me means the collective energy of individual parts. You can have an energy guy like a six-man come off the bench. He's got a bunch of energy. A couple other guys have energy. They bring it together, and there's a synergy. So that's why it's kind of goes with what you were saying, cohesiveness or in a zone collectively.
There you go. See, add to it. Keep putting it on the board, and we can see how it applies. You know what I think we can all agree on? It's not here on this Kings team as
Yeah,
a
for
team.
sure.
Not even
For sure.
close.
Hey, when's
So
the next game in Stockton?
tomorrow.
After that?
It would be Sunday if they win.
Oh, I'm off.
Which means, by the way, if you are here, if the Stockton Kings win tomorrow night, we will be giving away on Friday another courtside seat next to the Kings bench to go with me on Sunday to the Western Conference Finals.
No,
of the
man,
G
I work
League.
Friday. Shit.
What do you?
Okay. Well, excuse me. Excuse my language,
You're
Athena.
good.
Sorry.
So
Sorry.
make sure you all show up tomorrow or on Friday for the Kings Court, especially if the Stockton win or Stockton Kings win. So we'll be giving away
Okay.
another ticket to that. So you
Let me
find your
chat.
way in. We'll figure it out. All right, buddy. Good job, BJ. It's good stuff from BJ. Fun show today. I'm gonna have to get back at all you with this thrifting conversation. We will take that up at another time. Yeah, they're already in the semifinals of the G League because they got a first round bye. They had the best home record in the league, by the way. Number 1 seed, I believe, in the Western Conference. So make sure, because Dennis, Dennis didn't do anything to lose his ticket today. Now, that doesn't mean that Dennis couldn't lose it tomorrow. So make sure that you tune in. Sure, as long as you are here Friday, you'll have a chance to win. So, all right, don't forget that we are back at halftime. Please give us a thumbs up on the channel. If you are new, please make sure that you subscribe as well. If you're seeing us for the first time, I'm glad you are, because at halftime, Jerry Reynolds will be with us. Grant will be here as well. We'll break down the first half of the Kings and the Wizards, and then post game, we'll be here taking your calls. But before that, again, Jerry joins us. Only place you'll get Jerry at halftime right here on If You Don't Like That. Enjoy the first half of the game. Love y'all. Be well. Go Kings. Light the beam. See you in 24 minutes.